technology in general has been worked into everyone's day to day. It's easy to turn it on.
Every generation has its innovators, and this time, it's us. Good day everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, especially to Engineer Marvin Bartolome. Allow me to introduce our team, the Innoventors. We are a group of young innovators united by one vision, to transform ideas into real, meaningful solutions. Our strength comes from the perfect balance of strategy, creativity, and technology. Leading with strategy are our hustlers, Iron Grip Ignacio and John Jetro Guevara. Shaping ideas with creativity are our hipsters, Zaira Joy Albinto and Precious Kate Tiaba. And powering everything with technology are our hackers, yours truly, Katrina Duque and Aaron Jan De Vera. Together, we are the Innoventors, where bright minds create brighter future. Imagine this. Hawak mo lang yung cellphone mo and with just a few taps, you can order food, pay bills, buy clothes, or even book a ride. That's how powerful technology is today. At yan mismo ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon. First, let's talk about technology. Technology is simply the use of science and knowledge to make life easier and to solve problems. Hindi lang ito tungkol sa mga gadgets. It's about convenience in everyday life. For example, dati kapag magbabayad ka ng bills, kailangan pumunta ka sa mga bangko o bayad center at need mo pang pumila na napakahaba. Pero ngayon, gamit ang GCash o Maya, bayad ka na agad sa loob ng ilang segundo. And that's how technology work. Another example, kung gusto mong mamili ng damit or gamit, hindi mo na kailangan pumunta sa mall kasi may Lazada na, may Shopee, may Shein, Temu, at may TikTok shop pa. So, with technology, halos lahat ng kailangan mo nasa kamay mo na lang. O diba kapag gising mo sa umaga, ano yung unang-una mong hanapin? Diba cellphone? Titingnan mo kung nag-chat na ba si crush ng good morning, o kaya titingnan mo kung nagsuspend ba ng klase yung prof mo. Ay dyan tayo tuwa kapag walang pasok. Pero kidding aside, sa panahon natin ngayon in reality, hindi tayo mabubuhay nang wala ang cellphone. So sige, sino ang nagsasabi na kayang mabuhay nang wala ang cellphone? Taas ang kamay. Diba? Kasi, ang cellphone, kailangan natin yan eh. Diyan nakasalalay yung magagawin mo sa araw-araw. Technology is inevitable. Why? Because it is already part of human progress and everyday life. Ang ibig sabihin ng inevitable ay hindi maiiwasan. As long as people face problems, gagamit tayo ng technology para mas mapadali yung buhay. Technology is already integrated in almost everything we do. Sa lahat, komunikasyon, messenger, TikTok, email, Zoom classes, Instagram, Facebook, dumadaan na sa technology. Kahit simpleng pagbabayad ng pamasahe sa LRT o MRT, gumagamit na tayo ng beep card. So, walang bansa ang uunlad ngayon kung hindi sasabay sa technology. Every time may challenge, technology ang sagot. Noong pandemic, paano tayo nakakapag-aral at nakakapagtrabaho? Dahil sa online platform tulad ng Google Meet at Zoom, paano nakakapag-abot ng ayuda? Sa pamamagitan ng digital banking at e-wallet transfers. So, napakalaking impact ng technology. It is already part of our lifestyle, economy, no? Hindi na natin siya pwedeng balikan o takasan. The best we can do is to adapt and use it wisely. Now, let's move to invention. Invention is creating something new. Bagay o sistema na dati ay wala pa. Dito sa Pilipinas, isang magandang example ay yung SALT or SALT o Sustainable Alternative Lighting Lamp na ginawa ng Filipina inventor na si Engineer Aiza Mihenio. Imagine, lamp na umaandar gamit lang yung asin tas tubig. So, napakalaking tulong nito sa mga pamilya sa malalayong lugar na walang access sa kuryente. Isa pa, nauuso rin ngayon yung mga e-bike, e-jeepney, Jeepneys have always been part of Filipino culture. Pero yung paggamit ng kuryente instead of diesel ay isang invention na makatutulong sa environment. Another one, isa pang modern invention ay yung navigation apps. Dati, mapa lang yung ginagamit para maghanap ng daan. Ngayon, sa tulong ng apps tulad ng Waze, Google Maps, kahit saan ka pumunta, guided ka, hindi ka maliligaw. After invention comes innovation. Innovation means improving something that already exists para mas maging useful at practical. Halimbawa, online shopping. Dati, hindi masyadong tinatangkilik ng mga Pilipino kasi takot magbayad online. Pero nung nagkaroon ng cash on delivery option sa Lazada at Shopee, dumami agad ang gumagamit. That simple change, yung COD, was innovation that fit the needs of Filipinos. Another example is food delivery apps. Noon, pizza at fried chicken lang ang pwede mo ipa-deliver. Pero ngayon, kahit milk tea, lugaw, o street foods, or kahit anong cravings mo, pwede mong ma-order sa GrabFood o Foodpanda. Ano pa? From traditional jeepneys, ngayon may modern jeepneys with top cars and aircon. So, innovation makes things more accessible and customized to what people really want. The world will keep inventing and innovating. Kahit ayaw natin, may bagong lalabas at gagamitin ng tao. In the near future, baka maging normal na rin yung paggamit ng AI tutors or self-driving cars. Kailangan nating makisabay. For example, sa smartphones, sa mga Apple, di ba? Habang tumatagal, habang nadadagdagan tayo, generation after generation, nagbabago yung mga ini-invent na cellphone. Ngayon, dati may iPhone 11 lang. Ngayon, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. At susunod, 17 na. Habang nadadagdagan ng taon, nagre-release sila ng bago. Diba? So, kailangan nating makisabay. Next, let's talk about entrepreneurship before we tackle technopreneurship. Entrepreneurship is about starting and managing a business. Sa Pilipinas, makikita mo ito sa maliit na online sellers. Like, noong pandemic, halos lahat ng tao naging entrepreneur. May nagbenta ng baked sushi, ubi cheese pandesal, free love clothes, o skincare products online. Kahit mga estudyante natutong magnegosyo sa Facebook at Shopee. That's entrepreneurship. Spotting opportunities and turning them into income. A great example is Josh Mojica. Isang kabataang Pilipinong entrepreneur na nakilala dahil sa kangkong chips. Simple lang yung idea, gumamit ng murang kangkong, ginawa itong masarap at crunchy na snack, tapos may iba't ibang flavors, then pinakilala sa merkado. Boom! Lumaki yung negosyo niya at ngayon sikat na ang kanyang produkto. Sabi nga niya, bawal ang tamad. Kaya, shoutout sa mga kabataan dyan. Anong ulam? Baka ang sagot na ng nanay mo, anak, kangkong chips. Finally, let's talk about technopreneurship. Technopreneurship happens when the whole business is powered by technology. Example, Grab at Angkas. Dati mahirap sumakay at hindi ka sigurado kung may jeep o tricycle ka agad. Pero ngayon, gamit ang phone, kita mo kung may driver na available, safe, tsaka cashless pa yung bayad. Same with Lalamove, na naging malaking tulong, lalo na nung lockdown. Another one is Kumu, a Filipino-made live streaming app. Dati pang entertainment lang ang live stream, pero ngayon, pwede ka nang kumita doon. And of course, GCash itself is technopreneurship in action. Hindi lang siya e-wallet, kundi isang buong digital financial ecosystem siya. Okay, so let's continue, no? Let's carefully break down some important concepts about pain point versus solution. These are simple words, but in entrepreneurship, they carry a very deep meaning. First, pain point equals the problem, not the product. When we hear the word pain point, many people think it's just the thing a customer asks for. Pero hindi yun ang pinakatama. A pain point is the real struggle, challenge, or difficulty a person is facing. Example, a customer says, I need a bandage. But if you're not paying attention, you might think the bandage is the pain point. But the truth is, the real pain point is, I need to stop my knee from bleeding. The bleeding is the real problem. The bandage is only the tool to solve it. So, in entrepreneurship, you must always ask, ano ba talaga ang tunay na problema ng tao? Hindi lang yung ano ang binibili nila. Second, solution equals the answer to the pain point. After identifying the real problem, that's the time you give a solution. A solution can be a product, a service, or a system that addresses the pain point directly. Example, pain point, I don't trust online payments. Solution, offer cash on delivery or COD. Napapansin nyo? Hindi COD ang problema. Ang problema ay trust, tiwala. COD is just the answer. Another example, Shopee or Lazada. Customers often say, I want cash on delivery. But if we look deeper, the real pain point is, I don't have a credit card or I don't trust online payments. Yet, the solution then is offering COD as a mode of payment. Another one, food delivery apps. Many customers demand free delivery. But the deeper pain point is, ayokong gumastos ng malaki sa delivery dahil minsan, mas mahal pa ang delivery fee kaysa sa pagkain. So the solution is promos like free delivery vouchers. Third, as a student, like me, a student might say, I need a printer. But the real pain point is, I need to submit a hard copy requirement because my professor is very strict. So the printer is just a solution, not the actual problem. Lastly, transportation in the Philippines. Someone might say, I need a Grab ride. But the real pain point is, late na ako for work or school and I need a faster and more convenient option than jeepneys or buses. So Grab becomes the solution. So why is this distinction important? If you only focus on what the customer says, you're treating the symptom, not the disease. Pero, if you dig deeper, you can design better, more sustainable solutions. Imagine this. If you sell one bandages, you're just solving small wounds. But if you create a medicine that heals wounds faster, you solve the bigger pain point. Healing, not just covering. That is the difference between basic entrepreneurship and smart entrepreneurship. So, the key takeaway here is this. As entrepreneurs, we should not stop at what the customer says they want. Instead, we must dig deeper and understand the why behind it. Because when we focus on the true pain point, we can create solutions that are more effective, more relevant, and more innovative. In short, don't just sell the band-aid. Understand the wound first. Next, innovation comes from understanding true pain points. When we talk about innovation, it's not simply about creating something new or flashy. Hindi lang ito tungkol sa paggawa ng bagong produkto o pagdagdag ng features na maganda pakinggan. The heart of innovation lies in understanding the true pain points of people or customers. Take the famous line attributed to Henry Ford. If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. On the surface, parang sinasabi niya na, minsan, hindi natin dapat literal sundin ang gusto ng tao. But in reality, ang ibig sabihin nito ay, mas malalim. Kailangan mong maintindihan ang root problem kaysa sa immediate suggestion ng tao. In that case, the pain point was never about horses or cars. The real pain point was the human need to travel faster and more efficiently. People thought faster horses would solve it, but the real breakthrough was the car. Next, identifying pain points. Here is the challenge. Customers experience pain in many ways, pero madalas, hindi nila agad alam kung paano ito ilalabas o ipapaliwanag. That's why, ang binibigay nila ay yung immediate or surface level solution na naiisip nila, pero hindi yon ang core need. Isipin natin yung classic example. A customer walks into a hardware store and asks for a 1-port drill bit. Kung susundin lang natin siya, we assume the need is the drill bit itself. But if we dig deeper, the real pain point is that he needs a 1-port hole. That's why instead of asking, what features do you want it in a drill bit? It's better to ask, what do you need it for? As an expert, you then prescribe the right solution because now you understand the true problem. Okay, lastly, how pain points shape innovation. Kapag naiintindihan mo na yung totoong pain points, your entire approach to innovation shifts. You don't just sell a product, you present how it directly solves a customer's struggle. You communicate differently, hindi ka lang nag-hype ng features, kundi tumatama ka sa pinaka-root ng problema. You connect with people at a deeper level because they feel seen and understood. Most importantly, you build trust. Kasi ramdam ng tao na hindi ka lang nagbebenta, nakikinig at nakakaintindi ka. This is what makes innovation powerful. It's not about creating the next big thing for the sake of novelty. It's about creating something that is relevant, human-centered, and truly impactful. In short, real innovation begins not with the product, but with empathy and understanding. By looking beyond what customers say and discovering what they truly need, you move from simply inventing things to actually solving lives. Thank you.
Good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning. Ako po si Ron Grip S. Ignacio and Unit 2, Customer Segments. Sa customer segments, merong end users and customer. Yung customer is someone who buys goods or services from a business. Sila yung bumibili, while end users, sila yung nagko-consume. Sila yung gumagamit ng product. And pwede rin namin maging end user yung customers in some cases. So, to explain more, ito yung table. Product, services, customers, and users. So, makikita natin dito, animal feeds, tapos yung customers niya is farmers, and yung mga end users niya is animals. So, ito yung pangalawang example, ito yung example na pwedeng maging end user yung customers. So, yung car, yung product, and yung customer is yung owner. Tapos, yung gagamit ng car is yung owner din. Sa pangalawang example naman, ventilator, customers, hospital, and then yung end users is patients. Kasi ganun din sa last example, diaper, customer, patients, and then yung babies yung end users. So, next slide. What is a stakeholder? Ano nga ba yung stakeholder? A stakeholder is a party that has an interest in a company and either affects or affected by the business. So, yung stakeholder, sila yung parang nagsusupport din sa company. Kung babagsak yung company, maapektuhan sila. Kung mag-grow naman yung company, mag-grow din sila. So, maraming types ng stakeholders. Meron dyan yung external stakeholders and internal stakeholders. Yung external stakeholders, nagkakonsist siya ng suppliers, society, government, creditors, customers, and shareholders. So, sa external, wala sila sa loob. Kumbaga, nasa labas sila na nagsusupport dun sa business or company. Sa internal naman, internal stakeholders, andito yung mga employees, managers, and owners. Sila yung nasa loob, sila yung gumagalaw sa loob ng company. Yan. And here, what is an influencer? An influencer is someone who has the power to affect the purchasing decisions of others because of their authority, knowledge, position, or relationship with their audiences. And meron din silang following na distinct niche with whom they actively engage. The size of the following depends on the size of their topic of the niche. So, kumbaga, yung mga influencers, sila nag-influence sa mga buyers or customers para gamitin yung product or services na yon. So, dito, what is customer segments? Customer segments are the different groups of people, organizations, your enterprises aims to reach and serve. This includes users who might not generate revenues but which are necessary for the business model to work. So, yung mga customer segments, sila yung parang segments na pwede mo maging customer. Nandyan ito yung type ng customer services. Nandito yung mass market, niche, segmented, diversified, and multi-sided. Yung mga yan, yung mga type ng customer segments na yan, i-explain ni Zaira.
Pumunta sa types of customer segments, let's first answer the question, why customer segments matter? So bakit nga ba mahalaga ang pagkakaroon or pagkakaintindi sa customer segments? First, as a user ng grupo, ang pinaka-importante na bagay before ka mag-start ng business is you know the connection between the product that you will build and the people. Kasi hindi sapat yung may idea ka lang sa gusto mong gawin. It is also important na may target audience ka. Kasi if you know your target audience, you will also know how they feel, how they think, and how they live. Dahil dito, mas magiging meaningful yung dating ng product mo sa ibang tao. And also, in technopreneurship or subject, identifying the right customers is an essential key to a successful business because customer segments defines who we serve. Sa pamamagitan ng customer segments is maaari tayong matulungan nito na makaisip ng mga products na pwede nating gawin na pwedeng makasolve talaga ng real-life problems na nararanasan ng mga tao. So, let's go now to the types of customer segments. First is the mass market. Mass market is the product and services which target the market segments, have a broad appeal, and often cover the overall population. The mass market approach doesn't rely on any specific segmentation and instead aims to be efficient by treating everyone the same. In reality, there are very few companies that do this. Most companies apply some level of segmentation. So, sinasabi po dito, ang mass market is simply a broad group of customers with similar needs and problems. So, sabi na nga po, nakikita natin sa naka-highlight is overall population. Ibig sabihin, ang mass market is tumutukoy dun sa mga products and services ng companies na yung products and services nila is parang available sa lahat ng tao. Walang pinipiling specific goods na kunwari students lang, ganun. Parang example nito is yung mga toothpaste, Coca-Cola, and yung mga everyday na ginagamit ng tao. Syempre, hindi yun mawawala. And also, ang purpose ng mass market is ito yung tipong lahat ay pwedeng gumamit. So, sa madaling salita, kapag mag-business ka tapos gusto mo is, syempre, ang mapapaisip sa'yo, ang maiisip mo is agad is, ano kayo yung mga bagay na halos lahat ng tao ay gumagamit. So yun nga ba, example nun is yung mga everyday na ginagamit ng tao, like cellphone ngayon, or Coca-Cola na lahat naman ng tao ay umiinom din. And next naman is ang niche market. A niche market refers to a specific customer segment with highly defined characteristics. This segment requires a highly tailored product, custom-made to suit their needs. Therefore, the value propositions, channels, and customer relationships are tightly defined by the preferences of this particular customer segment. So, ang niche market daw po is a specialized group with specialized needs. Ang target audience nito is yung mga specific groups like students or mga professionals gano'n na may kanya-kanyang pangangailangan. Example na lang po is yung mga company na gumagawa ng high-end gaming pieces. So, syempre ang target audience nila is yung mga tao na gumagamit or naglalaro ng online gaming na syempre yun, kailangan nila ng high-end gaming pieces na mag-a-adapt sa need nila. And ito yung sinasabi na ng lahat na hindi para sa lahat yung product na to. Pero once na makuha mo yung tamang target audience mo ng product mo is, yun, malaki din yung chance na maging successful yung business mo kasi ang niche market is dito pumapasok yung pagiging creativity mo or yung pag-iisip mo ng product na hindi man para sa lahat ng tao, hindi man ginagamit ng lahat ng tao, pero meron kang specific groups na, marami kang specific groups na pwede mong gawan ng product na alam mong magagamit nila. Next is the segmented. Some business models distinguish between market segments with slightly different needs and problems. The retail arm of a bank like Credit Suisse, both segments have similar but varying needs and problems. This has implications for the other building blocks of Credit Suisse business model, such as the value proposition, distribution channels, customer relationships, and revenue streams. Consider Micro Precision Systems, which specializes in providing outsourced micromechanical design and manufacturing solutions. It serves 3 different customer segments: the watch industry, the medical industry, and the industrial automation sector. which offers each slightly different value proposition. So ito pong segmented market, ang target audience nito is yung mga different groups with slightly different needs. Medyo komplikado lang siya, pero pag inintindi mo talaga is madali lang. Parang ang target audience lang nito, ang sinasabi lang ng segmented market is, ang target audience nila is yung magkakaibang grupo, pero meron naman silang pagkakapareho sa mga needs na kailangan nila. So examples po nito is yung mga bangko na nag-offer ng services sa mga estudyante, professionals, and sa mga senior citizens. So masasabi nating segmented yon kasi magkakaibang grupo yon, yung tatlo na yon, yung students, plus professionals, and then yung senior citizens. Pero syempre dahil nga segmented, gumagamit lang sila ng isang product at isang services, yun nga yung binibigay na services ng bangko. And also, ang segmented market ay parang may shared need. May pagkakapareho kayo ng pangangailangan, pero magkaiba kayo ng pinagmulan na grupo. So yun nga po, ang isa pang example nito is yung sinabi dito na micro precision system. Na yun nga, nag-specialize siya mainly sa pagproprovide ng outsourced micromechanical design and manufacturing solutions. Pero, nagsiserve din siya ng 3 customer segments dahil sa kanyang value propositions. Una nga, yung watch industry, medical industry, and yung automation industrial sector. And dun mo malalaman na segmented market yung isang tao kapag magkakaibang grupo, yung target audience mo, pero meron silang pagkakapareho sa mga pangangailangan nila. And also, ang isa pang example ng segmented market is yung isang skincare brand na may separate product para sa mga teens, para sa mga children, at para din sa mga adults. So, segmented yun kasi isang company lang siya, pero yung target audience niya includes many groups. Yun nga po, mga students, teens, and mga senior citizens na maaaring gumagamit ng skincare.
So next naman pong types of customer segments ay ang diversified. Diversified is a business that decides to take a diversified approach to customer segmentation that will select a wide range of customer groups with very different needs. Often, companies diversify as they migrate to new customers and markets. Examples of this include Amazon diversifying into cloud services based on its utilizing its core infrastructure, and Apple migrating into Apple TV based on its previous development of Apple Music. So, ang diversified is po is simply tumutukoy sa 2 or more unrelated customer segments with different needs. Kung sa last po na type ng customer segments na segmented is kailangan ibang audience pero may pagkakapareho pa rin sa needs. Dito naman po sa diversified is magkaibang audience na mayroong magkaibang pangangailangan. Ang diversified market din ay dito pumapasok yung parang thoughts na ng mga company or businessman na mas palakihin pa yung kumpanya nila at mangyayari lang yon sa pamamagitan nga po ng paghahanap ng or pagdadagdag ng mga bagong target audience na or specific groups, and dun po pupasok yung pagiging flexibility ng isang kumpanya or isang business. Ang example po ng diversified market is yung Apple. Alam naman po natin lahat na yung Apple dati is a brand of smartphone lang. May mga products sila na pang-artist na kailangan ng mga artist, pero at the same time, habang tumatagal, mas nagda-diversify po yung company nila na mas nag-a-adapt pa sila ng maraming products na syempre marami ding target customers na naaakay. And yun po yung diversified market. So next type of customer segments naman po is ang tinatawag na multi-sided platform. Some organization needs to attract 2 or more interdependent customer segments belonging in 2 or more totally different sites in order to succeed. A credit card company, for example, needs a large base of credit card holders and a large base of merchants who accept those credit cards. Similarly, an enterprise offering a free newspaper needs a large readers in order to attract advertisers. On the other hand, it also needs an advertisers to finance production and distribution. In addition, both segments are required to make the business model work. So dito po sa multi-sided platforms na tinatawag is tumutukoy sa pagsaserve ng 2 or more interdependent groups na pwedeng makatulong para mag-work or mag-succeed yung business model ng isang company. Examples po nito is yung mga overdriver or riders. So, yun nga po, drivers and riders is magkaibang jobs but they are interconnected sa isang kumpanya which is yung Uber. So, ganun po ang tinatawag na multi-sided platform. Meron siyang magkaibang customer or target groups pero merong connection sa isa't isa na makakatulong para mag-work yung business model. Ang multi-sided platform din po is yung tinatawag na pinaka-friendly or pinaka-intuitive na customer segments sa mga types of customer segments kasi dito sa multi-sided platform is balance siya. Wala siyang dahil nga magkaibang sides pero wala siyang kinakampihan na side which is yun yung nagbibigay ng fair treatment sa magkaibang group na yon na nagtatrabaho or gumagawa para mag-succeed yung isang business. Example po nito is yung mga Facebook app or Canva app na syempre may mga users lang na ang goal is gumagamit lang ng app pero yung iba is ginagamit yung Canva syempre for their work and yung Facebook naman is para mag-advertise ng mga ibang products. So, ang multi-sided platform sa madaling salita is yung mga company na nagpo-produce ng products or services na pwedeng may dalawang sides ng grupo, yung target audience nila, pero interconnected sa isa't isa. Kasi ang goal lang naman po ng multi-sided platform is mag-succeed eh. Wala naman silang ibang goal kundi basta mag-succeed yung business model work. Kaya ginagawa nila yon sa pamamagitan na ngayon ng pagkakaroon ng maraming side or pagkakaroon ng maraming target specific groups na pwedeng gumamit ng services or product na ginagawa nila. Next naman po is yung punta tayo sa tinatawag na market segmentation. So, yung market segmentation, hindi siya type of customer segmentation. Ibang concept na po niya. So, first, let us define what is market segmentation. Market segmentation, it is the process of dividing target customer into smaller, more precise cluster. It is used to categorize customer segments and audiences into groups that share similar characteristics. So, yung market segmentation daw po is isa siyang proseso kung saan dinidivide nito yung mga specific groups sa isang malawak na market para paliitin or parang paghati-hatiin yung kada groups na yon. Sa pamamagitan po nito ng market segmentation is yung parang mas mapapadali ka na malaman kung sino yung may pagkakapareho ng characteristics sa mga hinati-hati or mga dinivide mo na specific groups. For examples po is yung mga trendsetters or yung mga sabihin na nating social media users. Siyempre, sa sobrang dami ng social media users ngayon, hindi mo na alam kung anong mga tao or yung nagumagamit ng social media is yung mayroong same characteristics or similar characteristics. Sa pamamagitan po ng market segmentation is malalaman mo kung ano pa yung mas mag-work sa'yo or sa business na gagawin mo. So, sabi nga po dito, ang market segment refers to the people who are grouped together for marketing purposes. So, yun nga po, in short, ito yung tinatawag sa pagde-divide ng mga tao, specific groups, para magamit or matulungan ka na ma-market or mas lalong ma-maximize yung gagawin mong business.
So, type of market segments. Meron tayong 4 na market segment. First is ang demographic segmentation, psychographic segmentation, behavioral segmentation, and geographic segmentation. So first is demographic segmentation. Demographic segmentation, by definition, is one of the most popular and commonly used types of market segmentation. It refers to statistical data about a group of people. So dito sa demographic segmentation, dinidivide lang nito yung market based on a measurable characteristic ng mga tao like age, gender, annual income, source of income, occupation, education, ethnicity. So, ang magandang example dito sa demographic segmentation na, for example, sa Jollibee, di ba, meron silang ino-offer na kiddie meal for children. So, ibig sabihin, for children na, pambata lang. Meron naman ding budget meal na ang target market nila ay yung mga student, since mas makakamura sila, and yung mga family buckets for mga family, pangmaramihan. So, isa pang yung magandang example sa demographic segmentation is yung promo sa mga SIM card. For example, yung mga low cost na data na pwedeng magamit ng mga estudyante, and meron din naman yung mga higher data na pwede din naman magamit ng mga professionals. So, next, psychographic segmentation. So, psychographic segmentation categorizes audiences and customer by factors that relate to their personalities and characteristics. So, dito sa psychographic segmentation, parang binebase lang nila yung product nila sa kung paano mamuhay yung tao or kung ano yung nag-motivate sa kanila. Magandang example dito is yung mga coffee shop like Starbucks or Coffee Project, and ang mga target nila is yung mga middle class to upper class na binavalue nila yung hindi lang basta kape, kundi yung ambience, yung place, tsaka yung yung social experience. Isa pang magandang example dito is sapatos, yung Nike. So sa Nike, may mga sapatos na pang casual lang, pang lakad lang. Meron din naman sapatos na pang sports para sa mga athletes or sa fitness enthusiasts. So doon makikita natin na psychographic segmentation ay nakabase talaga sa kadalasan sa lifestyle ng tao. So next is behavioral segmentation. So while demographic and psychographic segmentation focus on who a customer is, behavioral segmentation focuses on how the customer acts on product. Bali sinasabi lang din sa behavioral segmentation na nagfo-focus dito yung consumer behavior, kung paano nila gamitin yung product. So kung para ba sa brand loyalty or sa benefits na nakukuha nila, or pwede ring buying habits. Katulad dito na purchasing habits, spending habits, kunwari, gastador, ganun, brand interaction. So, magandang example dito, Shopee or Lazada. So, ang target ng online shopping ay yung mga online shoppers na sabi natin madaling mabudol ng mga flash sales or discount, vouchers, tsaka yung lalo na yung free shipping. So, example ulit about sa SIM. Sabihin, di ba sa SIM may mga promo dito na kunyari Giga Story for FB, TikTok, ganyan. So, meron din na mga Giga Video for YouTube, Netflix, or TikTok din. So, ibig sabihin lang nun, for example, sa Giga Video, ang mga target lang nun is yung mga tao na gustong or mahilig manood sa YouTube, TikTok, Netflix, ganyan. So, ayun, yung magandang example nun. Next is geographic segmentation. Geographic segmentation is the simplest type of market segmentation. It categorizes customers based on geographic location. So, example nito is country, province, city, barangay, state, regions around a certain location, climate, urban, or rural. So, magandang example din is mall. Sabihin natin urban versus rural. So, pag sa urban nagtayo ng mall, like sa Manila, so Metro Manila, tayo ng SM Mall, syempre sa Manila maraming upper class doon, maraming sabi natin may kaya o mapapera. Syempre sa SM na yon, mas pipiliin nila magtayo ng mga luxury stores or fine dining na restaurant o mamahaling department store, kasi nasa urban area sila o nasa area sila na kung saan maraming taong may pera. Pero kung sa rural area naman or province naman nagtayo ng SM, syempre ano nila is yung more essentials focus na store. For example, yung mga grocery store, ayan, yung mga siguro may mga damit din pero hindi naman din ganun kamahal. So, ayun, binibase lang talaga sa kung lugar kung ano yung mga culture nila. So, So, isa rin yun sa parang factor na nakaka-apekto and sa mga tradition nila. So, yun lang. Is it important for the customer to be informed first of the benefits they will get upon buying a product or services from an enterprise? Or no need for that since every buyer obviously knows the purpose of what they are buying? For me, yes. Kailangan mo pa rin i-inform yung mga customer mo kung ano yung mga benefits or kung ano yung product na ina-offer mo. Kasi di naman lahat ng tao ay sabihin natin, alam kung ano yung binibili nila dahil mostly bumibili lang sila dahil yun lang yung feel nila. Parang out of emotion, bibili nila to, ganito, ganyan. Di sila madalas mag-isip logically. So, for example, sa GCash, pag sinabi mo mobile wallet sa kanila, i-ignore ka lang yan. Kasi, di naman nila alam kung ano yung mobile wallet na yan. Di naman nila alam kung ano yung ino-offer ng mobile wallet na yan or kung ano yung nagagawa niyan. Pero kung sasabihin mo na ang GCash ay nakakapag-send ng pera na hindi mo na kailangan pumunta sa bangko, nakakapagbayad ng bills ng ilang segundo, hindi mo na kailangan lumabas, and hindi mo na kailangan ng cash. Doon pa lang, makukuha mo na yung attention nila. Yun ang benefit. And benefit, help people decide faster. Kasi di naman ang tao busy yan. And hindi naman wala silang time mag-research sa kung ano man yung binibili nila. Or kahit hindi busy, tamad yan. Di naman, syempre, bibili ka lang ng pagkain, bibili ka lang, magre-research ka pa ba? Bibili ka lang ng medyas, i-research mo pa ba? So, ang gagawin mo, ipapaalam mo sa kanila kung ano yung product mo, kung ano yung benefit, kung ano yung bakit mas better. So, more benefits, mas ma-attract ang tao. Kaya nga ang shampoo, di ba, 3-in-1 na yan, hindi lang kape. So, madalas, ganun ang nangyayari. Kung hindi mo i-explain sa kanila yung benefits, baka i-ignore lang nila yan. Baka isipin nila na hindi worth ng pera nila yung ino-offer mo sa kanila. And, walang tao ang bibili kung hindi nila alam kung ano yung makukuha nila. Diba? Kung ano yung benefits na makukuha nila. So, in terms sa pag-i-inform about sa ino-offer mo o sa product mo, mas maganda na gumamit ka ng mga simple word like mas mabilis ito or mas mura ito, mas makakaginhawa ka dito or mas safe ito. Yung mga ganong words ba na simple lang, hindi mo na kailangan na mga i-detailed pa yung about sa pag-i-explain mo or di na kailangan ng mga complex na word pa. So, yung mga simple lang, di ba? Yung katulad lang sa mga commercial like sa Bear Brand na sabihin natin mas nakakapagpatibay ng buto, nakakapagbigay ng energy. Ayun. So,
advertising and marketing play a crucial role in the success of any business. As this famous quote suggests, they are not just optional tools. They are essential functions that drive visibility, innovation, and growth of a business. Henry Ford once said, "A man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops the clock to save time." According to Henry Ford, advertising is essential to every businesses to promote and improve sales. When business stop promoting their products or services, they risk becoming invisible to customers. Stuart Henderson Brief emphasizes this even more clearly. He said, "Doing business without advertising is like winking at the girl in the dark. You know what you are doing, but nobody else does." Stuart Henderson Brief highlighted the importance of the visibility of your business. No matter how good your product or services is, if people don't know about it, it won't succeed.
For example, big brands like Nike and McDonald's invest on advertising or marketing their products came out stronger compared to their competitors who pulled back and lost visibility to customers. As a hipster, nowadays, if you run a coffee shop that builds to be Instagrammable and minimalist and think of not advertising it online, will somehow boost your sales and attract customers, think again. In the business world, advertising is not a cost. It's a growth tool to attract customers and boost sales. Another quote stated by Milan Kundera says, "Business has only two functions, marketing and innovation." He simply says that in the business world, creativity is also needed to become successful. Marketing is just as important as creating new ideas. It connects the product to the customer, but without marketing, even the most innovative ideas can fail. Leo Burnett, a legendary advertiser, gave practical advice for how marketing should be done. Make it simple, make it memorable, make it inviting to look at, make it fun to read. He says that effective marketing is not just about pushing products. It's about creating a message that people understand and enjoy. Today, people see thousands of ads and messages every day. To get their attention, your message needs to be different and special. Something that feels personal or meaningful, so people can connect with the product. Nowadays, people of the world becoming one and even making a community even with miles away, with the help of the internet. And in this modern world, marketing becomes digital than ever. Just like Bill Gates stated, the internet is becoming the town square of the global village of tomorrow. For example, streetwear brands often started as a low-key shops but ended up becoming famous, like the Supreme brand. It is a fruit of marketing strategy, advertising, and collaboration. What made them legendary and well-known is the hype that made people want to know more. As a hipster, if you want to open a restaurant without signs, social media presence, or even local advertising, and thinking as you open, a flood of customers will eat at your restaurant, think again. Your restaurant will surely struggle even the food is excellent and budget-friendly, because simply people don't know it exists. Today, advertising and marketing online is the fastest way to reach people all over the world. It points out how the internet has become the central platform of marketing. In conclusion, advertising and marketing are not just about selling. They are about communication, connection, and growth. In the world full of choices, it's the business that knows how to market themselves effectively that truly stand out.
And now we're moving on to Unit 3, the value proposition. What is a value proposition? A value proposition is a simple statement that summarizes why a customer would choose your product or service. It communicates the clearest benefit that customers receive by giving you their business. A value proposition can be presented as a business or marketing statement that a company uses to summarize why a consumer should buy a product or use a service. The value proposition pertains to the benefits that customers would get upon buying a product as promised by the company who owns it. It is actually a statement which serves as a window for the consumer to see clearly what certain brands could offer and its advantages over the other competitors. Despite all of this, for the value proposition to be actually clearly seen by the consumers, advertisement is still needed. Yung advertisement is napaka-essential niyan sa value proposition dahil hindi naman makikita yung value proposition kung hindi natin kino-communicate yung mga unique benefit ng product natin or service na ino-offer sa ating mga target audience. So, without advertisement, hindi natin mapapakita yung awareness pati yung engagement na kailangang ibigay natin sa ating mga consumer at customer. Ito ang example ng mga value proposition natin. Here in this slide, pinakita yung Apple na nakalagay ay think different. This promotes creativity and individuality, establishing Apple as a distinctive and imaginative brand. Dito din naman sa Tesla is nakalagay accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. This establishes Tesla as a part of a broader, ecologically minded movement that goes beyond just electric vehicles. Dito po sa example natin, sa example number 3 is Coca-Cola. Delivering happiness and refreshment with every sip of its beverages. This shows that as a brand, Coca-Cola is more than just a soda company, but a place where sense of joy and positive thoughts come from. Sa example number 4 naman natin is galing sa Grammarly. As a student, siguro naman alam natin kung ano yung Grammarly kasi ginagamit natin to help us improve our writing. Nakalagay nga dyan, great writing simplified. By being simple and concise, it tells exactly what problem they're trying to solve, making writing easier and less time consuming. So, sa mga example na to, parang yung value proposition is pwede siyang maging slogan, pero slogan is actually different pa. Kumbaga, ano siya, parang words siya na ini-embody yung idea ng ating product or service na binibigay. Ayan, makikita natin sa mga examples dito. And ito naman yung historical background ng ating value proposition. Michael Lanning and Edward Michaels of McKinsey & Company first used the term value proposition in their 1988 paper, A Business is a Value Delivery System, where they define that it is a concise list of advantages that a business will offer to particular clientele groups at a set cost. Marketing Sherpa traces related concepts back to the 1890s and includes previous terminology like unique selling proposition because, although the term is new, the fundamental idea of clearly expressing value to clients to obtain a competitive edge was far older. So dito, na-coin daw yung word na value proposition sa book ni na Edward Michaels and McKinsey & Company noong 1988 sa kanilang book nga na A Business is a Value Delivery System. Ayan, dinefine nila na tama din naman. Yung sa parang sinabi ko kanina, yung sa slogan, ayun nga, parang nililista yung advantages ng isang business sa mga kalaban nila or sa competitor nila. Kung bakit pipiliin mo yung product namin kumpara sa product ng kabilang competition, parang ganun. Dito naman sa slide natin dito. Ito yung tangible and intangible benefits ng value proposition. Sabi dito, tangible benefits are those that can be measured in financial terms. Parang nasusukat natin siya sa economic terms natin. Ganun naman yung sa gayon pa man, yung intangible naman ay kabaliktaran ng tangible. Intangible benefits cannot be quantified directly in economic terms. Hindi siya na-identify ng ganun-ganun lang. Pero, kahit na may pagkaiba sa kanilang dalawa, nakalagay nga dito, both benefits include customer satisfaction. Kahit na may pinagkaiba sa kanila, both sets of benefits contribute to the overall value of a project. Parehas silang mahalaga. Kagaya ng makikita natin sa chart na to. Sa tangible benefits, nakalist ang increased revenue, resource cost savings, hardware cost savings, software cost savings, productivity gain, process improvements. Sa intangible benefits naman ay yung enhanced user experience, increased customer satisfaction, increased compliance, and brand equity. Ayan, makikita natin dito. Yung sa tangible nga, syempre, revenue and savings, gain, improvements. Oo, masusukat natin yan. Pero dito naman, experiences to ng customer natin, tas yung satisfaction ng mga customer or consumer natin sa ating product, pati na rin yung equity ng ating brand. Kaya hindi natin siya masusukat ng ganun-ganun lang. Pero kung makikita niyo man sa listahan na to, parehas silang mahalaga sa isang business. And yun lang po yung sa aming reporting about sa value proposition. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.